That's my confirmation. What's up, ladies? I have with me the incredible Gail Crowder. We were just chatting social media and all kinds of cool relationship stuff that she's learned over the years. Gail, will you real quick introduce yourself?
I am Gail Crowder and known around the world as the one sexy wife, and I am known to be spicing up marriages all over the world. I've been doing my Bringing Sexy Back to the Marriage conference for over 15 years now. Wow, that's
Wow.
crazy. And I am a licensed marriage counselor and I am a licensed sexologist. And I am so grateful to be here today and to pour into you ladies. So thank you, Jackie, for allowing me into this amazing group of women.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And you guys know me, or if you don't, my name is Jackie Lacroix. My passion is helping women become bombshells, which is a woman who's fully actualized in every area of her assignment and design. And you know, Gail, one of the things that I was thinking about this morning, it's often on my heart, but really was this morning, is this perceived divide that people kind of consider themselves either single or married. And it's like, are you in the cool camp or are you in the exile camp hoping to come over to the cool camp? And I just thought, like, how much does that probably hurt God's heart? How much does that hurt the way we see ourselves to be like, you're either worth it already or you're not? And in reality, the core of our identity and our assignment is just to be a woman.
Woman, yes.
Woman,
Has
you know what I'm
nothing
saying?
to do being connected to a man or someone else, right? Has
Yeah.
absolutely nothing to do with that. And when I went into my marriage, I was, 21 years old, had no business being married, but I was not whole, right? And
Yep.
so my mission with either if you're married or single, be whole and
Yeah.
and understand who you are and why you were created in the first place. It was never to be attached to a man or have an identity. I'm single or I'm married, right? It is to
Mm.
be whole, and what you bring to the table will add to other relationships, and that's how I view this whole thing.
Yes, yes, because there's so many, divorces come out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Women are single well into their 40s sometimes, and then they get happily married, and it's not like they failed or messed up somehow. So I think, our lives are so much more than this relationship status that I think, especially in the church world, people pin an identity on so firmly. And I get it,
Valid.
and I did it before, and I mean, I completely understand. But I think that creates frankly, I think it creates less attractiveness for both single women and even for wives, where,
Mhm.
you either put so much pressure on your relationship or you stop developing yourself as a
So,
total
yep.
person,
Mhm.
and who wants to be with someone who's either desperate to get into a relationship or who's complacent because now they've accomplished it. There's so
Mhm.
much more as a woman. Gail, you're bursting at the seams. So tell me a little bit more about what you think about that.
I totally agree with that. And again, I did not come into my marriage whole, and I wish that I would have waited because I was putting the pressure on Gil to fulfill all of these dreams and aspirations
Mhm.
and to fulfill all these expectations that I had when I got a man, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's not what he was created for. And that caused disaster in my relationship, not just with him, but with my girlfriends and with my job. It carries over into so many different areas of your life if you really don't truly do the work and understand who you are and what you bring to the table, because that's
Mhm.
not his job to fulfill those things. And like you, I talk to single women who say, if I can find a man, we can do this, I can accomplish
Yep.
this, I can build this. You can do that whole and healthy by yourself, and when you get in the relationship, you add to, right?
Yes.
You add
Yes.
to. And so
Yes.
that is one of the biggest things. And then there's women that are married that are struggling because they married expectations.
Oof.
And I
Oof.
deal with that every single day.
Went down the aisle and wedded expectations. That's
Expectations, expectations, right? All of these expectations that we place on the man and the relationship. And Hollywood has done a great job of creating this fantasy of what marriage is all about.
yep.
He's going to save me and he's going to love me and all this romance. And every time he walks to the door, we're going to just jump on each other, all of those things. And it's not true. It's not. That's only a snippet of real life, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
all of these things that you have to deal with, right? When you have these expectations, and those, and a lot of times, and I was guilty of this, is that the expectations that I had on Gail, I couldn't meet them myself.
Wow. Yeah.
I couldn't meet them myself.
Yeah.
I couldn't meet them myself. And so
Yeah.
therefore, I say to either married or, single women, make sure that the expectations that you have of someone or a relationship or the dream or the, fantasy that you have of going into a relationship or being in a relationship, that is realistic. That is realistic.
I love this.
And that you're not comparing yourself and what you see on social media and all of these things, because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes when the doors are closed. Yeah.
That's good. That's so good. I call that going from bondage to bombshell, because we're caught up in all of these false beliefs, these expectations, these pressures that either society's put on us, culture's put on us, we feel that men have put on us, whether they have or not, we've put on ourselves, our families put on us. And then we then have the chance to come to this breakthrough where we understand who we are, we understand our identity, we understand what it's really all about. And there's just so much freedom in that,
It is. It is.
Like when the pressure and the chains fall off, you just look around like, I can't believe I get to be this light. Like, I can't believe it feels this good just to go through the day, So I love that. So talk to me a little bit about, I feel like single women and, women who haven't been married before specifically, but even women who have, they put those pressures on having maybe a perfect dating relationship, looking for a perfect man or being perfect themselves. Do you see that? Because I've seen that a lot. I remember, I've worked with single women for a long time, one-on-one. And I remember women would come to me and they'd have a list of what they wanted in a man. And you've seen these lists, and it's like, he can't have a receding hairline. I prefer him to be from like one of these 3 countries. And you just think, how about character? How about integrity? How about love for you? So tell me a little bit about what you've seen single women specifically do, holding on so tightly to the idea of these ideals.
Yeah, I used to teach this workshop, and I took it around the country. I went to like 7 cities or whatever, called Seal the Deal. And I would literally start off by giving women a sticky note, a sticky pad, right? And I would say, build your ideal man. And most of them would say he needs to be 6 foot and over, right? He needs to drive this.
That's just for me. Those men are on reserve for time.
He needs to drive this kind of car. He needs to have this kind of education. He needs to have his own home and not be living with his parents. He needs to have this kind of income. He needs to be a man of faith. It doesn't matter about, but he needs to be a man of faith. He needs to be romantic. Like, they just had all of these lists, right? And so what I would do, and this is seriously, this is what I would do. I would say, okay, how many women in here want a man 6 foot and over? And they will all stand up.
Wow.
I said, how many men want a man who's a professional, that we consider professional? They would stand up. How many men want a man? How many women in here want a man that makes 6 figures and over? All of them would stand up. And the thing is, one time in one city, I literally had, a college roommate. He wasn't a roommate, but a college classmate of mine who fit all of those things. Yeah. And I had him to bring his friend. And I said, now, all of you ladies who stood up, I said, all of you guys would be competing for this one guy. Wow. Because we outnumber them already, right? We outnumber men to women, right? And 10 cities in the United States, women outnumber men. I'm just giving this as fact. You can do it. I said, so you guys will be competing. That's the reason why a lot of women now are settling for being Miss Tuesday.
Wow, Miss Tuesday. Oh,
Miss Tuesday. Oh. Because they know that if they fit that statue and they fit that economic and they fit all of those things, right?
Yep.
That he can dish it out. He can say, I'm dating 6 other women, but I have Tuesday open. Do you want that?
Tuesday from 4 to 6, 6 to 8's taken already.
Yes. Some women, in order to not be alone, they would rather be in that relationship. And I kid you not, I just coached a woman who was in a relationship like that for 10 years. She was Miss Thursday. She knew it. And when he had parties, he would invite all the other 6 women. They knew each other and all those kind of things. But she knew on Thursday, it was her day.
Holy smokes.
And guess what? She did it for 10 years. He turned around and met this one young lady that wasn't going to put up with it, and he married her within 3 months. And she was devastated. And this is a true story.
I know. I've heard them.
But I'm just letting you know. So when it comes to this list, sometimes you got to step outside your list, because I had my list. I did. I had my list. But the person that God might have created for you might not be in that packaging.
We're dropping bombs and we're only like 10 minutes in.
He might not be in that packaging. He might not be the same skin color you are. He might be a janitor, but he might just speak to you every single day, tell you how beautiful you are. He might manage his own money. He might have his own house and his own car. He might be highly educated, but that's what he chose as his profession. But for us, we don't want to say we're married to the local janitor. We don't want to say that. But he's the guy that compliments you and sees you and assists you and keeps your office clean and keeps your bathroom, all of those things that we say when we get home, we want our husbands, our mates to do.
Yep. And there's your man.
But we don't see them.
Isn't that wild? All right. Okay, let's get in. I've got 5 shifts for these ladies, so I'm going to go through them, Gail. The first one is about sex. Then I'm going to let you take over beauty, because you are going to rock, your confidence and finding your sexy. Okay. And then I want to talk real quick. I'll bring the rest up when it's time, but then we're going to get into selection and a lot of what you're talking about, kind of God's man for you and protecting yourself a little bit too. So I want to, I'm going to write some of them on the board, but I want to hear your thoughts on each one as I go through these. So, okay. I'm going to adjust my screen so I don't have to slouch. And they get caught up on this. Alternatively, I've seen women feel, this is probably the most common attitude I've seen towards sex, is that sex is for men, which therefore means it's a tool, and it's a tool you use to manipulate. It's a tool you use for trading. It's a tool you use for negotiating. It's a tool where you give it out when he deserves it. You restrict it when you don't feel like it or you're upset with him. It's something that is in your toolbox to manipulate men. And I cannot think of a more harmful and toxic attitude towards sex for both men and for women. So the first thing I want to break as far as misbeliefs with women, specifically single women here today, right? Around this is to use sex. And I know that the first thing people say is, what on earth? You just said don't use sex. But to me, this means understanding the place of sex in your design, the beauty of sex and your own identity. Because what I find, and Gail, when I've talked to women about this, the number one thing they all have in common, whether they've slept with everything that walked by or they've protected their bodies and kept themselves for a future husband, is that their mother didn't talk with them about sex. There was no open communication with a woman they could trust in their lives around what sex is, what it's for, where to have it, that kind of thing. And so I find that right there leads women to feel like this is just an uncomfortable topic. And I find the most healthy women, however they choose to live their lives, have internalized that sex is something that is just as important for them as it is for men. And it becomes something that then they cherish, that they have confidence around, that they have boundaries around. And you don't have to be having sex to embody your sexuality. I was saying this a few weeks ago, but a lot of women, I find, they lead with sex, kind of like, if they got a particular day of the week, maybe they use it to negotiate their, their day of the week, or they restrain it, they restrict it. And I see that a lot in church culture, where
Yep.
women have been taught so much that sex is bad, sex is dirty, sex is what, dirty girls do or dirty girls use or bad girls or don't make him stumble, all this kind of stuff, that then they turn off their sexuality.
Yep.
Again, not saying they're having sex. You can be fully abstinent and still sexy as heck, sexual and sexually confident and not having it. But then, and so these guys come to them trying to meet a good girl, trying to meet a woman who's going to be a great wife. And she comes across as like a potential administrative assistant, or a potential like housekeeper, a potential dog walker, a potential best friend for his sister, but she doesn't radiate woman and lover and playmate and friend and all of the things that continue a beautiful relationship for the long run. So Gail, have you seen that, this kind of extreme?
Absolutely. And, I can literally attest that was part of why I started bringing sexy back, because I, in church, I was told, good girls don't do that, right? Kind of things. And then out in the streets, then I would see, when the women who were loose. And so it was like, I don't know which one to be, right?
Yes.
I'm stuck in between, right? And I knew that I did not want to dress like a streetwalker. That's what from Texas, they would call them streetwalkers. I didn't want to dress like a streetwalker, but that to me, they would, when I would be walking by or coming home from school or whatever, the guys would be hollering at them because they had on the streetwalker clothes. So I knew I didn't want to dress like that. But I was like, but that's what people consider sexy, right? And I think that we don't understand that being sexy has nothing to do with what you have on. It's an internal thing, right? It's a self-worth, it's a confidence, it's all of those things that radiates energy from you, right? You can be fully dressed, and I have seen some women who are fully dressed. I mean, like fully dressed. I mean, nothing showing or whatever. And when they walk in the room, they have it. That it thing that everybody stops and looks at, that bombshell. You're like, wow. Even women who are not attracted to women are like, wow, that's it. Because that's an internal thing. It has nothing to do with external, right? And I think society has made it either you or have everything hanging out. That's what we consider sexy. Or if you don't have it all hang out and you try to show a little something, then you're going against God, right? And it's trying to find that balance. It really is trying to find that balance. And I think you have done a great job finding that balance and helping your tribe find you. Really, I do. Because it's a subtle thing, and it's a shift in how you think about yourself. And I had to go through that transition, right? I had to go through that because I was battling, it's like, God and the devil, right? These people telling me these things. And I had to find what works for me. And that's a huge thing. It really is huge. And yes,
I know. I agree.
I have dealt with that a lot.
I think everybody has. I don't think, you can be a woman in the world and not have that question come to you, not have to come up with some kind of answer. And even if you don't consciously ask yourself the question and consciously come to an answer, you stumble into living out somebody's answer. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, like the women all around you, well, who are you running with? What's your mom saying? What's church saying? You kind of, and a lot of women will live these double lives, these secret lives. I remember growing up in school, she's a good girl in class. And then she has like a whole nother voice when she's outside of class. And it's like, whoa.
Switching clothes in the bathrooms and stuff, all of that kind of stuff. But that's the turmoil. That's the turmoil that I believe the local church has not progressed to say it's okay. It's an internal thing that God gave us that needs to radiate. And you can do it with class and grace. And it has nothing to do with what you're putting on your body. Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely. And I don't even see it really as a balance. And, if that helps people, I'm happy for them to think that way. But to me, it's like an other than, you know what I mean? It's different. And I think it's like, hang on, I'm just going to pin our screen here. There we go. It's a design that works. And so when we get into the concept of a balance of like, well, it's got to be this or it's got to be that, I think it gets dangerous because we start to feel like we got to find our footing between two things, when I really want women to realize it's an other. You
Mhm.
know, it's something better than trying to kind of be wibbly wobbly. Which one am I today, or which one's correct right now, or which one do I feel like today? It's a design that is outside of this cultural tug of war, where you are constantly sexual
Mhm.
in as far as being embodied in your identity, right? When God
Mhm.
created the earth, he made man and woman. Like gender,
Mhm.
sexuality is the core of our identity. And so that's who you are all the time. And then how you manifest that is
Mhm.
based on appropriateness to the context, right? So I've got a heck of a lingerie collection and I love it, but I'm not going to be wearing it to church, you know?
No.
So there's, it's not like, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's not. It's, well, when is it?
Mhm.
When is it the right idea? You know,
That's it.
when it,
Mhm.
what it's for. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I totally 100% agree. And it is not, like you said, a black and white thing. To me, it has to be something that it is for me. I can just speak for me. It was an internal thing that I had to settle. I
Yeah.
no longer wanted to struggle, right? I no
Yes.
longer heard the pastor in my head and my mother in the head and then seen the streetwalkers. I no longer went through that. I didn't, because you know, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so for me, I had to settle and say how I show up, how I relate to the opposite sex, how I am authentically built by God when it comes to my internal sexy. That's how I want, and I'm going to just be. Is that making sense? I just want to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I just want to be.
And what an exhale, you know what I mean? Kind of like when I was brokerage to Bombshell, when you get this idea that like, I don't have to be clutching all of these different either expectations, like we were saying earlier, or other things that people want me to do and be in different situations. And it just, we feel like this balancing act sometimes of all of these pressures. And what if I just get to drop them and just be? Just be the woman I'm here to be, just be. And not everybody's going to be happy about it all the time. We're going to have pushback. We're going to have commentary. We're going to have this and that and disagreements. And that's okay. You know, but what if we just get to embody the woman we were here to be, we were designed to be, and let everybody kind of let the chips fall where they may from that. So I love it. Next, Gail, what I also see women struggling with, and I really think it's connected because, you know, I see sex, body, and beauty as very interrelated, but I see them as distinct. And I think one of the biggest struggles that women have without realizing it, and I know this because I lived it and I've been there, is we take how we look as who we are, right? Because we're human beings, we go out in the world, we get feedback. Guys check us out or they don't. Women kind of seem to nod in approval or they don't. And we then create beliefs about, oh, well, I'm attractive, or, oh, I'm not attractive, or, oh, I'm cool, I fit in, oh, I'm not cool, I don't fit in, whatever it is, right? So accidentally, most of the time, we create an idea of who we are that's very closely linked to how we look. And with how we look, so I see beauty as one thing, but with how we look is the state of our body, the state of our health. And so a lot of women, where maybe they haven't been taking care of their health, or they've had a health issue, or something has happened with their body, they wrap that up with their beauty, and then they wrap that up with their identity, and suddenly their whole being isn't deserving in their minds of being loved by a man, or being seen as attractive, being seen as desirable, right? Which then makes them do what? Makes them cut off sexually, makes them possibly from a sense of shame, get angry at men. You know, men are just animals. All men care about is how women look. You know, no man can be faithful, all these kinds of stories. And I think a lot of it traces back to what I call this beauty wound, where we've wrapped up who we are with how we look. Now we know how we look is changing all the time, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Holy smokes, it changes back, and it changes again. And so it's absolutely not who we are. I love to use the example of if we were destroyed, God forbid, in a car accident, like physically destroyed in every sense, you know, almost unrecognizable physically, would our identity be the same? And my argument is yes, it doesn't change. You're still a child.
It doesn't change the core of who you are. It just changes how you view yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
And you know, like I said, I said it, you know, last night on the thing, you know, I go up and down in weight. You know, the largest size I ever wear is a size 12, and the lowest I've ever been was like an 8. And the thing is that it used to be a struggle, but it became something that I had to settle with, because I used to suffer from migraine headaches really bad. So they would put me on these large doses of steroids, right? And so therefore you're retaining water and blowing up. And I used to be like, oh my God, I can't fit this. So, you know, I used to say, Gail, thank God. And even Levi stopped doing it, right? Nobody knows what size you are.
Yes.
Nobody knows what size you are, because the labels are inside for a purpose, right?
Oof.
Dress the size that you are and work towards being the size you want to be.
Yeah.
And so in my closet, I have from, 12 all the way down to 8, right? But at the end of the day, I had to show up for me, not for Gail, not for no one else. I had to show up for me. And I understood what was going on with my body. I would rather be puffed up to a 12 and then have my head hurting so bad that I couldn't function for 2 or 3 days, right? And I wasn't one that wanted to take narcotics and let them knock me out, all those kind of things. So I had to settle with it, right? But media says certain looks, certain things are what is considered beautiful. But I look at how God made every single thing different, right? Every single thing is different. There's nobody on the planet that's going to walk like me, talk like me, or could ever be me. There's not another Jackie. There's not another Holly. There's not another Carrie who was on it. There's not another you, right? So when I switched that and quit looking at the number that was inside of my pants, right? And start looking at who I was, I'm amazing.
I love that.
Amazing.
Amen.
I am literally amazing.
I love that you said this. I don't even know that you caught it, and I hadn't thought of it before, but the idea that the labels, the sizes, what we're talking about, but the labels are inside. I mean, what a metaphor is that? The labels are inside. You know what I mean? And so how we have decided that we are. I remember, when I was growing up, I had braces twice. I had hair that I didn't know what the heck to do with, because it was curly and my mom was straight. So she'd just keep brushing it and it just get bigger. And like we didn't know what to do with me. And I didn't put my identity in my appearance, fortunately, but I kind of did. You know what I mean? I felt unattractive. I felt like, well, I'm just not one of those girls. And I remember, and it was quite a process. It wasn't an overnight thing, but at some point I had the blessed realization that I get to decide. I just get to decide. I'm freaking gorgeous. You know what I mean? And if everybody else disagree, I don't care. I still think I'm gorgeous. You know what I mean? So I'm going to write the next breakthrough here, which is use beauty. And I want you to then take it and run with it and go deeper on exactly how to do this. But I just think that is such a defining moment for women to recognize that we get to decide
my house
that we're the one. You know what I mean? And as I write this, I'll kind of go into it a little more real quick. I hadn't thought of this before either, but when you were looking at cultural standards and saying, well, I don't meet those. One, I mean, you were in the fashion world too, Gail, and I did some modeling back in the day. We know how those cultural standards are chosen. It's not necessarily what is accurate, as far as what people truly find attractive. There's a big industry behind all of that. But
a huge industry behind that is not real. Oh my God, it's not real.
Huge industry. But there's just different types of women. So imagine, like, because we're going to get to selection toward the end of this. What if being the best version of yourself, and I'm not saying don't take great care of yourself, I'm all about that, but I'm never going to be short and blonde. It's just not going to happen. But there are men who are drawn to how I look. What if, instead of trying to kill myself to meet a cultural beauty standard that I perceive is necessary, even when it might not be, I allow my natural appearance to help me select my man, because he's already going to be wanting what I naturally am. So I know that women, in many places in their lives, and it comes and it goes, and maybe some women have never felt it, but they can't imagine feeling confident and sexy. And I know that is something that you have just crushed, Gail. So take it away and tell us what's out there.
Well, let me just tell you, 85% of women will admit, 85%, that's a huge number,
That's
will
huge.
admit that they have struggled with self-confidence at some point in time in their life. And I believe it's a lot higher, but 85%. And so that is a huge, huge number. And again, we're inundated every single day what beauty is and how it changes. And, one day the shorts in, the next day the tall is in, the next no butt is in, next big butt, all those things. So it's hard to keep up. No, seriously, it's really hard to keep up with what's ever changing. And people have gone through great lengths to change their appearances and do all of these things. But at the end of the day, again, it goes back to an internal thing that has to go on with you. 62% of women will admit that they struggle with self-esteem daily, right? I
Mm.
dealt with a client that had taken all her mirrors out of her home,
Oh, wow.
every
Oh.
last one of them. And the
Mm.
only way she could see herself every day is when she was driving out of her driveway in her mirror.
Mm.
And so we worked on that, and it came from being inundated. And she's in the fashion industry, and she doesn't look anything like any of the people and all those kind of things. But it's all of this stuff that we allow to infiltrate our ear gates, our eye gates, all of these gates, and it's not real, right? The
Mm.
definition of self-confidence is the attitude about your skills and your ability. It means that you accept and trust yourself and have a sense of control of your life. It
Mm.
has nothing to do with your appearance.
Wow.
Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with. That's what the definition is. Has nothing to do with what your outward appearance is, right?
Mm.
But we look at confidence and we look at other people and we think because their appearance is a certain way, it makes them confident. Let me just tell you, it's not real. I have worked with some of the best. And behind the scenes, you literally might have to pick them up off of the floor because they're not confident. They don't
Yep.
have, it's just they have this title, they have what we perceive to have it all together, and it's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amen.
All right.
Mm.
How do
True.
you know if you lack self-confidence? You're sensitive to criticism, right? And
Mm.
this was one that I used to struggle with when people would be trying to give me good advice. I was very sensitive to someone saying, this is the way it should go, or I think you should do this, right? And
Mm.
everybody that criticizes you is not trying to tear you down or make you think that you're less than. They're just
Yep.
trying to give you some good information and try to get you to look at things in a different way. So that's the first thing. You have social withdrawal. You're socially withdrawn. And a lot of women, when they're not feeling their best, they're not feeling their certain size, or they're not looking a certain way, they become withdrawn, right? And they're trying to
Mm.
figure out why they can't lose the weight, or why they can't, look like so and so on the TV, or how
Yep.
come people are not surrounding themselves with me because I'm cool, and all of these different kind of things. So you become socially withdrawn, right? Some people take a different road and become very hostile towards people. They
Yep.
become very, smart mouth, and they want to argue all the time, and they feel like if they have this defense mechanism up, that nobody's going to approach them or say anything to them because they already know that they're going to get into an argument, so they just
Mm.
avoid you, right? Some people who are suffering from low confidence are preoccupied with personal problems. They continue to perpetuate that personal problem that got them to wherever they are that they're not happy with. And again, a lot of times women won't admit that they sometimes create their own problems in
Oof.
their heads.
That's true. True. True.
In their heads, right? I used to be that girl. Like I would
Me
be just
too.
thinking
Very victim
all of
mentality.
this, all this stuff, victim mentality. You
Yep.
got that, Jackie. That was good.
Yeah.
That victim mentality. I was a victim in every single area when it wasn't working for my benefit, right? It
Yep.
was all everybody else's fault but me, right?
Yeah.
So that victim mentality, right? How do you develop low self-confidence? It can come from childhood trauma. It could be trauma from another relationship. It could be trauma from authority figures like your parents. You name it. It could be trauma. It could be, academic challenges. Sometimes people are dyslexic and struggle with academics, and it carries over into their adulthood, right?
Yeah.
It could be belief systems, and we kind of touched on that with the church, and how the church can make you think, and make you feel like you need to act this way or behave this way. And if you go outside of that, then you're, sinning against God, and you're, not a good church girl, and they're not going to accept you anymore. All of those things. And also the big one is social media. We just love social media.
Yeah. Love, hate. Yep.
But social media is one of the biggest lies that is perpetuated by the millions every single second, right? Because nobody is getting on there and saying, I couldn't pay my bills today and they foreclosed on my house. Look at all my stuff sitting out there. No, we're going to post, even if it's not our own home. Look at my beautiful home, right? I've had people that I figured out that they would take pictures in front of, the model homes, and then they would go and tour and act like that were their home. It wasn't even their homes, but people thought a certain way of them. And so they felt that they had to live that certain way. I want to say this, a certain name, family, women, I won't give them this platform, have created a whole entire empire on beauty, right?
Yeah.
But every last one of them have had plastic surgery, because if you see them then and see them now, it's no way possible, right? Yes, we can all enhance ourselves and we can contour or whatever, but some of that stuff is just not naturally done, right? But they have created an image that a lot of women are trying to perpetuate, and they're dying on the operating table when it comes to that. And so how do we look at, being confident and literally get in a vein where you're okay with who you are, whose you are, and what you bring to the table authentically? The first thing is make a decision. Make a decision to love and to search and to find the authentic person you was created to be. Every single person was not created to be a 0, and every single person was not created to be a size 24. There is many ranges, right? And I will tell you, the guy that God has for you, he will not care about any of those things in between, because he's created for you. The problem is are you giving off that confidence and knowing who you are and that energy to bring him towards you? That's the first thing. So make a decision, and make a decision that your body was created, and you're the only person who was created just like you with your DNA. So whatever size you were created to be, I don't care how much you want to exercise. Yes, I say exercise. Yes, eat healthy. Yes, move. Yes, meditate. All of those things. But your body is going to line up with what it was divinely made to be in the size. Period. Point blank. Number 2, check your perception. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Because
easier said than done, right?
Oh, that's hard.
It is hard.
One of the hardest things you can do. But when you compare yourself to other people, they're not on your path. They're not on your destiny. They're not you. They don't have your experiences. They don't have your DNA. They don't have any of those things. So stop comparing, because again, they might be admiring you and you don't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how many people admire me for just being me when I was trying to be like them. Right?
Yep.
Because the world around us said that we're not good enough. And we keep doing things to try to be good enough, but the bar keeps getting set because every day somebody changes the bar.
Yes.
Every day.
Yep.
Trust me, every day the fashion trends change every day.
Yep.
So for me, I pack up the skinny jeans, because now the wide leg jeans, and 3 years later, somebody gonna say, "Oh, wide leg jeans are back," and so I'm just gonna pull them back out. You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
So that's what we do. No, seriously, that's what we do when we compare ourselves to each other, right? What I really love about, certain people like Bessie Johnson. Bessie Johnson has always been loud, proud. She wears her hair crazy. She's been doing that for years. Remember when it came in? She was always on trend, and when it goes out, she's gonna always be on trend. But that's what makes her uniquely, and she could care less when people say you look tacky and crazy, you look like a crayon. She didn't care because she knew authentically who she was.
Yeah.
So when you see people that are comfortable in their own skin, right? I admire you. So I say to you, stop comparing yourself to others and be who you are, right? The next step is treat yourself well. What does well look like to you? Some people think going to the spa is treating yourself well. Some people think going shopping is treating yourself well. Define that for yourself. Because I realized that going to the spa all day wasn't my thing. Going to the spa and getting 2 services and getting out is my thing. I have girlfriends that want to stay all day. But I used to try to do that because I thought that was treating myself well. No, 2 services and I'm out. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your day, because I have other things that I want to do that I consider treating Gail well.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm a 2 service girl myself.
2 services. Like seriously, all day. I just couldn't see it. But anyway, I'm just saying I had to come to the realization of treating myself well wasn't what society says was treating myself well. Sometimes treating myself well, Jackie, is literally just laying in my bed with nothing on all day.
Yes.
All day. And you think that's so simple, but some people can't do that. So that's treating myself well. No TV, no phone, no nothing. What does that look like for you? Have you even stopped to explore that? Oh,
that's so good. And I just want to jump in real quick.
Sure.
The woman who does exactly what you're saying, who knows herself, it's basically what it comes down to, who knows herself and who has the confidence even to decide to love herself her way. And then the last point, the woman who's not comparing herself, which I get is hard as heck to do. And I think, you can be inspired by the women around you, be like, I really like her hair. I really like that she's got those toned arms from I don't know, cross, whatever she does. But it's different to see something and admire it, but not get into that cycle of therefore I'm not good enough.
No, because I don't have that, right?
Precisely.
Or go kill yourself trying to get it. And then when you don't, then you hate on yourself a little bit more, right?
Yep. Or you force yourself to do it and you don't even like it. Like you're saying, it's not your thing. But the woman who comes from that energy of being inspired to be her best, but not comparing, and then doing her thing her way. I mean, can you just in your mind, imagine that woman? She's already attractive. That energy is already attractive.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. But just
I know that was good, because it is true. We do those things, and I'll use one of my good girlfriends that Kiki. When I tell you she is a Peloton nut, she's on there every single morning, and every single morning I say, you did that, because that's what Peloton said. You did that, Peloton. So I call her and I'm like, you did that. Me, I'm a walk kind of girl. I want to walk my neighborhood and just take in the fresh air. I'm not going to be walking too fast. I'm not going to walk too slow, but that's my thing. I'm consistent at it. I have a stationary bike down there. I got a treadmill. I got all of those things. That's my thing. I'm on the treadmill. I'm thinking about 1,000 different things. I think that I'm a hamster on a wheel. Like all of those things go on in my head, right? But I got those things because that's what other people were like, this is cool. I do my treadmill and I get on my so-and-so. So I bought those things, but that's not my thing. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. What I'm saying is I had to realize, Gail, everybody else's thing is not your thing. So
Yep.
your thing is getting out there and walking and allowing the fresh air with your headsets on and waving at people. Like, I like that thing. I do.
Me too. Me too. Yep.
That's my thing. And so, yes, did I waste thousands of dollars on equipment down there? My husband loves that thing. Like, he's not going outside to walk nowhere. But for me, I'll just go walk and have myself a great time. But that's my thing. And I had to be comfortable with it. So, Gail, what do you do for exercise? I go walk the neighborhood and talk to anybody who will talk to me and listen to my radio. That's what I tell them.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I had to be okay with that instead of saying, oh, I have a Peloton down there and I'm, I got this Nordic track and just all of that stuff, because see, that's what people want to hear. That's not what I do. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. We all want this, like, what's the magic recipe that if everyone follows, it always works? And it's like,
yes,
the recipe is to find your own thing. It's a lot harder to do. Yeah. I love it.
Let me get on step 3. You have personal power to claim your confidence. You do. You have personal power, not somebody else's power, your own personal power to reclaim your confidence. But you must first know how you want to reclaim it. And this is something that does not happen overnight. Nobody has a magic wand. This is where you have to sit down and be still and really think about what brings you joy. Where did your confidence go? How did you let it go, right? And this is heart work, not head work. Because when you let your head lead you, one minute you feel like a nut, the next morning you won't, right? But when you go into your heart and you say, where did I allow someone to take my confidence? Was it in my childhood? Did I not deal with the trauma? Somebody told me that they called me stupid, whatever that is, or I allowed a man to take this away from me, or I allowed my profession or my career to take this away. You have to do that work, because I had to do the work. And nobody around you can give you that back. You have the power within you to reclaim it. That's awesome. And it takes time. Just like it took time for someone to take it away from you, it's going to take time for you to get it back, but it is possible. That's the first thing. And then you have to give yourself credit for small wins. And I say that because so many women get into relationships and they see the same signs that that the relationship is going in the same path that it happened the last time, but you're so happy to be in a relationship, you don't see those red flags. When you have self-confidence, you see those red flags, you check them and you say, I can't go down this path.
Yes. Oof. Yes.
I can't go down this path. I'm not going to be Miss Thursday anymore, right?
Oof. Oof. Oof.
I'm not going to be Miss Thursday anymore. I have enough confidence to know that I can be Miss 365 by myself.
I want a sash for that. Miss 365.
Yeah, I can be Miss 365 by myself. I don't have to be Miss Thursday, right? And so those things that I really want you to think about. And then step 4 is set yourself up success by setting some goals, some hard goals for yourself. And I'm not giving you anything that I haven't done for myself, and I have to continue to do. Set some hard goals for yourself. This is what I want. This is how I want it. And these are the steps that I need to do to get to it. Yeah. And I know Jackie's going to, take you through some different processes, but let me tell you how you can find your sexy, right?
Yes.
Number one, I think that, to me, let me just say for me, when I dress up for Gail, I look better and I feel better, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, a lot of people, I work from my home, but they ask me, where are you going? I do that for Gail. Yes. So the first thing is put on some clothes for you. You don't have to be putting on clothes to go to attract a man. You don't have to put on clothes to go wherever. Do it for you. Look in the mirror and know that you're worth it to put on some clothes. Dress up for you. I know that's hard, but dress up for you. I do it every single, I love me. So I'm gonna put on my clothes. I have them upstairs. I am putting them on for me because when I look good, I feel good. Number two, try to find a way to eat better, right? I don't care what size you are, but put better things in your body because so many women are not taking care of their health. They're getting diagnosed with cancers a lot younger. So many things going on. And let me tell you, I was guilty until I found this. And I don't even get paid for this.
Wow.
I hint water. Have you ever tried hint water?
I haven't. No.
Let me just tell you, Jackie. Before I never used to drink water. Only time I would drink water is when I was forced to drink water. And when I went in for my last surgery, they had to stick me 8 times to get my veins because I was so dehydrated. And I literally looked like a drug addict. It was all over my arms. And I said, you know what, Gail, you have to do better. Because that was painful. 8 times to find a vein to take me to surgery. I have to do better. And I was too cheap. I'm just being honest. I used to see the commercials of Hint saying that they had all these different flavored waters, no calories, no, it's just plain water with an essence of a thing. And so I went to the dollar store and I found some Hint water. I bought 2 just to try it because I didn't want to spend $33 and they sent me water and I want to drink it. So and I went back and I went to all the dollar stores, 3 in my area, and cleaned them out. And ever since then, I drink 8 to 10 bottles of water a day.
That's awesome.
So no, seriously, I know when I first started doing it, I'm being transparent. Y'all can laugh at me. I was like, my kidneys are probably going, what in the world had happened to you? Like, seriously. So, but that was one transition that I made. I look better. I feel better. My skin is moisturized. I like all of this, the benefits that they say happens with water. It literally has happened. So just eat better and treat yourself better. The third thing is get moving. Get moving. Do something that you love. And I'm teaching you how to get your sexy back because a lot of times when we think, again, sexy has nothing to do with external. It's all about internal, right? So get moving. Whatever that looks like for you, not what it looks like for someone else, not what society says you need to be doing, right? Because out in California, I heard they have something called goat yoga. Never will do it. Have you heard about goat yoga?
I've heard of it. I'm not completely clear on what it is, but I kind of get the idea. And
I couldn't even probably stand the smell of a goat near me. So yeah, but I'm saying that's the craze. That's what everybody's doing. And it is not cool to me. So I wouldn't even go out there to try goat yoga. I'm just saying, whatever that looks like for you, get moving. Okay. For Gail, is walk around the neighborhood speaking to all the people. Okay. Number 5, take a sexy dance class. And you say, but don't you need to have a partner? The dance class, they will supply you with a partner. They will. Most of the time they will, but I'm just telling you, when I was trying to find my sexy and had lost it, I literally went and took a sexy dance class. And everybody in there was scared, just like me, because we didn't know what to expect, right? It was the first level one. So everybody was new. But when I finished that class, I felt so empowered. I was not dancing for anybody else. I was dancing for Gail, right? I was dancing for Gail. And so find yourself a sexy dance class and let yourself loose. Don't go in there with all of these things, who's looking at me, or I don't know how to keep the rhythm or whatever. Just let it loose.
I love that. I love that. Oh, that's a writer downer, friends. That's a tip right there. You don't usually hear. I like that.
Yeah. The next thing is be bold enough to see a man that you're attracted to and ask him for coffee. Not for dinner, not for a movie, not for anything, for coffee. And the reason why I say ask him for coffee, and this is just being confident enough to ask him, because coffee does not last a long time. If the conversation is not good or whatever, you can drink fast enough and say, I gotta go.
It's so
right?
true. It's so true.
Ask him for coffee.
Oh my
And it's so easy. And the thing is that you're not trying to go back to jump his bones just ask him for coffee. Be bold enough to do it. Step out of your comfort zone. We're always sitting, waiting. And I'm not saying you're going to ask him to marry him and all that kind of, all you're doing is asking him for coffee.
God.
That's it. If he says no, say good. Have coffee on your own. It's not that bad. No, seriously, it's not like you ask him for this dinner, right? You're asking him for coffee. Okay.
Oh,
Next one is change your hair or wardrobe, right? We get in this thing that I have to look this way, stay this way, and all those kind of things. Try something new. Try something new. And if you don't want to do anything with your natural hair, put on a wig. Try a different wig. Don't just pop it out of the box. Go to a stylist and let them style you up. But try a different color, a different length, something to make you know that you're working towards finding your confidence. You know, some people are always like, I wish I could. I really like so-and-so's red hair. You could be red hair in a hair store trip now. Yep. And nobody's going to say anything. Back in the days, if you wore a wig, people like, oh, she got a wig. Now everybody's like, oh, girl, bye. Get yourself a wig and come on, let's go. Right? Trying a new hairstyle and a new way of dressing. It brings you life. Try something new. Be a little bit daring. If you're very conservative, I'm not saying go from, one to a harlot or nothing like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying try something new. You always wear around it. Try to be that. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is. The next one is wear something red. Look at
Check.
Jackie.
Check.
Red is just a sexy color. I'm serious. It just puts you in a whole different mood. When you are feeling down and you want to feel empowered, put on something red, even if it's a red lipstick. Try something red. I'm going to give you a perfect example. Whenever the president wants to look like he's an authority and he's taking control and he's in power, always look at his tie. It's going to be red.
Interesting. Oh.
I'm just being honest. Whenever they want you to feel like we're calm and we're in this together, and he's going to wear a very blue tie or a yellow tie because those are common colors. So red is going to put you in a position where you look at me, I got it going on. The next one is strut yourself in some heels. Heels change your posture. It changes how people perceive you, and it changes how you walk. Even if you're not good at it, strut your stuff around your apartment, your home, outside, something. Do something in some heels. It just makes you feel sexy. It really does. It opens up because it changes your posture. You have to stand up. The model can tell you all about it. The next thing is buy yourself some sexy undergarments. It doesn't have to be lingerie, but if you always go with the granny panties or something, step up your game. Nobody's going to see them but you. But at the end of the day, when you take off your clothes, you're going to look sexy to you. And that's all that matters. And the last thing I want to say to you is believe in you. Believe in you. Because confidence has nothing to do with external. It's all internal. And when you make these little shifts, and they're little shifts, right? But they make huge impact on how people perceive you and how you show up for yourself and others every single day.
I love that.
Believe that.
I love that, Gail. You know what struck me with so many of those, and you're right, so many of them are little wins, but so many little wins are what creates confidence, and they're creating identity shifts. So when you're doing something like something as simple as a bolder nail color than you normally do, or changing your hairstyle, I don't even care if because I've done this, if you try a hairstyle and it just does not look good, legitimately, you pull it up in something one day and you're just like this. What it's doing is it's pushing your edge. And the dance class, that right there is my edge. So you just gave me my assignment, but it's showing you that you are you're not who you thought you were, or you are certainly not limited to who you thought you were. You are more than what you've conceived yourself to be in the past. And just that little shakeup of like, I'm capable of, I don't even, this is a little different, maybe back to when you were saying goals, but I'm capable of organizing my house a little bit. I'm capable of putting on, bright lipstick and heels. I'm capable of this. And you start to identify yourself differently. And you start to think, I've gone, my whole life not thinking I'm attractive, but look at me. I got these killer heels. I got these killer nails. Maybe I'm an attractive woman. And you start to reframe your identity. And then it's just like, you stay in that energy of wins. You stay in the high vibe energy of abundance. And I think music too, Gail, music is huge for me.
Oh my God, it's huge.
Oh my gosh. If I turn on something and I start dancing, whether it's barefoot or if I really want to go for it, I get in some heels and I am by myself. No one knows.
Nobody cares if you're on beat or whatever. And that's why I said, when I took the dance class, I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do it. But everybody in there was like that. And the instructor was so great because she was like, listen, this is your time. This is your time. Who cares? Don't look at your neighbor. Don't care about, if I say do this and you can't do it, just make it your own. And I'm telling you, it literally released something inside of me that I didn't even know that was there. Right. And I did it just for me. I didn't take anybody with me. I went just for me because I needed to figure out where my sexy went. Right. I did. Because literally I was like, when you're not at your best, when you're struggling, right? And the thing is, and all of these things that I tell you that I just mentioned, I do them for myself because no matter, how many times I speak and all of this stuff, it doesn't matter. I still have to deal with Gail. I still am a person outside of all of this. And I want to be okay with me. And I don't look for anybody else to build my confidence. I have to have that every single day.
Yeah. And the beauty of
that 85% of women will admit that I struggle with self-confidence. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. But when we take responsibility for it, then nobody gets to take that power away again. You know what I mean? So I think that, like you were saying, one of the first things you do is make that decision. And then even before you've arrived, I don't think we ever really arrive, but even before you get to the point, even before you get to a point where you're like, I'm kind of killing it now. You've reclaimed your ownership of this part of yourself. And even if you struggle, you're never in that place again where you're powerless, where you feel like it is out.
And you don't have a direction, right? Because at least when I stray or start, thinking, maybe I should be going over here, or maybe I should try, whatever, I always have that one set direction that I know works for me and puts me back in time.
Yes,
right.
Totally.
And so I think that is important, especially if you're struggling with your self-confidence.
Yeah. And even having like a little list, kind of thinking back to your spa example, like you don't have to go to the spa, but just think of like some of these things that Gail's just said. That was an awesome list, and add your own things. That come up with 3, I would say more like 5 probably, of just little actions you can take when you get in a funk and you feel all unattractive and you feel super yuck and gross. What do you do to remember who you are? And not even just because I think, as women sometimes in the good girl mentality, remembering who we are, we can get a little prudish, like accidentally, we get into, well, I'm a child of God and I don't even care about this worldly stuff. And it's like, come on,
yes,
so
you do.
Exactly. And you should, it's a part of our wholeness. So put on your heels and your gospel music, like, it's a full picture. So have a little quick list of things you can do to bring yourself back. Now, I want to actually jump to that real quick, Gail, because you and I are both believers. And I know that not every woman listening to this necessarily will be, but many of them will identify with kind of the good girl image, or at least they've been pulled toward it. It's something that speaks to them in some way. So a couple things that stood out to me in what you were saying is, one, that we're doing this for us, which sounds like, how dare we, how dare we? And then the second piece, and I'll let you roll with them, is asking a man for coffee. You hussy, we're so told that they pursue. And I worked in the young adults ministry for years, and it's so funny because there's so much encouragement to get the men and the women paired up. But when the women take the lead, you're kind of looked at. And it's so funny because when I was dating way back then, I had a little coffee shop that was right across the street from the church where I worked. And the guys who were interested in me, who would ask me for my number, or sometimes I would kind of initiate it, but frankly, I wasn't taking your advice at the time. I was just taking the guys who came to me. And I would meet them at that coffee shop so that if something happened, it was the middle of the day and I could run across the street back to work where people work. It's so funny. And I had them lined up like airplanes, like you get the 2 o'clock slot, you get 4 o'clock slot, but it's just coffee. So talk to me a little bit about doing this for us and then feeling okay, making the first move. Because as a good girl, we've been taught the opposite sometimes.
But let me just tell you, the thing is that just like we want to be pursued and looked at and admired, men want the same exact thing, right? Men want the, but see, it's okay for us to go out and make careers and all those kind of things. And if you want to go back to, the good girl Bible thing, most of these women were homemakers and those kind of things. So we're out of order already. I hate to say that. We're out of order already. So what is wrong? You're not asking the man to marry him. You're not asking him you're asking him for coffee. That's it. It's not a big deal. And the thing is, the reason why is because a lot of times we have been taught in society that the man is supposed to initiate every single thing, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that or whatever. But when you switch things up and you ask, they're going to be like, wow, I've been seeing you. Some men think that a lot of women are out of their league in the first place.
True.
Right?
True.
So they might not approach you. They might admire you and see you. But when you flip the script and you're just asking for coffee, you're not asking for something big. You see what I'm saying? You're not.
Oh yeah.
It is something that's just opens their eyes and go, wow, she does see me.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
She does see me.
Wow. Yeah.
This is possible, right? Especially if he does not fit the packaging and all of those kind of things. And let me just tell you about that packaging. I used to be 6 foot and over or whatever, because I'm 5'7" for a woman that's tall, right? But the guy that God had for me that wanted to treat me the way I wanted to be treated is 5'9".
Yep.
And I was like, well, when I put on heels, he could care less.
They usually like it.
Yes, he could literally care less. But in my mind, he had to be this or whatever. But then I would be competing with all of these, because every man is not 6 foot and over.
Yep.
He's not.
Yep.
And again, the men that are they're bold enough now, because women have allowed it to happen, to be Miss Thursday, Miss Tuesday, or whoever, right? Yeah. And I wasn't going to be that, right? And so the thing is that ask a guy that you admire, that you see, or has admired you, and you put him on the back burner because he doesn't fit your list, for coffee. He might be the best thing that you could ever, that could be one of the best decisions you ever make. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, what happens? You drink that coffee a lot quicker, say, I gotta go. I got somewhere to be. It's over with. It's not like a dinner or a movie or any of those things.
So true. So true. Soft starts.
You have to step out of your comfort zone. If you want to see something different, you got to do something different.
I love it. All right, let's jump to number 3, because it fits that so perfectly. And I think I don't even have to get up this time. So many women, let's say we've done this. I hope you guys are seeing that you can do this, right? We've talked about sex. We've talked about beauty, like this attractive woman who is bringing in men is not an other that can't be achieved. Anybody can do this. If you've never felt attractive and like you've gotten a hold of your sexiness, you can step into it. If you feel like you've lost it, you can get it back and then some. So I hope you guys are understanding anybody can go from whatever version of bondage you've been in to Bombshell. Okay. So, but when that happens, men come in, don't they, Gail? Men come in and then you get to choose. Right? Whoops, can't spell. And then And I love that you talked about that woman who's like, I'm not going to be Miss Thursday, not even your client, but the woman he ended up marrying. She came in with boundaries. She came in with an awareness of what she is willing to accept in a man, and he can either walk or he can rise to meet him. And I really want to encourage women. I used to just teach women how to be open and sensual and sexual and attractive and not angry at men and in tune with their beautiful femininity. But that is like prime target for narcissists. Men so frequently, it's like the trophy, you know what I mean? So coupled with this amazing sex appeal that you're learning how to have here, you've got to think like a victim, right? Think like the victim you don't want to become, right? So this isn't victim mentality. This is knowing the red flags to watch out for and taking them as seriously up front as you should, right? And so the selection process begins here. We start weeding through the guys. Now, to me, I feel like I see a lot in both sides, men and women, a lot of excessive harshness toward people's behaviors when they're not ideal. So there's having boundaries and standards, and then there's being so darn picky that there's no room for grace and for redemption and for sanctification and all these big words that basically mean a person who's not perfect, who's working on becoming a better version of themselves, but in his soul wants to do right by you, versus somebody who's just playing, or he's got legitimate issues that he has no interest in looking at or breaking, right? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Gail, but this is more important to me than it has ever been before, because some of these guys, and of course this happens from women too, but you guys, it's women here talking about men. So we're looking right now at the guys who come at us and they're super charming. They pursue very intensely, nothing wrong with that, but sometimes that goes along with it. There's love bombing is the word that's used. So we have to be on the lookout for, this may feel good and it may seem really nice to have been picked, but is the way this guy is behaving, not just to me, but to the people around. Like I met a guy yesterday at the beach and he was very nice and very, action taking oriented, but I watched the way he handled his puppy and his children. And it was just a little too rough and harsh for me. And I could see the way that puppy reacted to him, and I could see the way the children reacted to him. And so we're not just looking at, that just charming, suave man coming at us, but how he treats the waiters and the waitresses, how he treats the janitors, how he treats anybody who doesn't serve him in that moment. So can you give me your thoughts, Gail, on this kind of like thinking like a victim, a woman who's being savvy as she picks her man?
Well, the thing is that you have to be very, very clear that in this dating pool, I don't care who you are, you send your representative, right? Mm-hmm. You send your representative. And so, like you said, the guy was trying to get with you. He was all those things, but you was able, because you're trained, right? To step back and say, how is he treating his children?
Yeah.
How is he showing up for his that the puppy? Is he nurturing it? All of those things, because that's the true person of who he is, right?
Yep.
And if you don't have that antenna up and you're so desperate and you're not confident in who you are, right? You will think, he showed me some attention, so therefore, he's choosing me. He's a really good guy.
Yep.
But sometimes I have to say, you have to put brakes on, and you have to see them in their natural environment.
Yep.
And I'm not saying go to their homes. I'm saying, like you say, see how he behaves at the coffee shop. Is it thank you? Is it please? Does he tip? All of those small things that we don't look at because the representative is there. But see, if it's truly him, it will be natural.
Yep.
He will naturally open your car door. He will naturally, do all of those things that are natural. If it's not natural, you need to pick up on those things, because what you do with me, you will do to me, and you're not going to be the same exact person when I get in a relationship.
Yep.
With you.
That's it right there.
Those small things that we don't look at, that become big things when you get in a relationship. And like you said, you look, you stop enough, not that he was trying to get with you and say all these beautiful, oh, you're beautiful, all of those things. We love to hear those things. But you stopped enough to look around and say, how is he treating his children? Because if he's being abusive or abrupt or rough with his children, eventually he's going to do that to me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
because
ma'am.
he helped create those people. He didn't help create me, right? All of those little signs and those kind of things that when we're so, oh my God, I got a date, we ignore all of those things. And then when we get into the relationship, then we're like, he doesn't do this and he doesn't do this. He wasn't doing those things in the first place. You allowed yourself to not see those things because you didn't come really complete and whole and understanding who you are and what you brought to the table.
Yes, yes. And I was saying this in a video the other day, having just this realization that, I mean, there's what, almost 8 billion people on the planet now. We're going to say half of them are male. Let's take it down to 1 billion who are in an appropriate age and available. That's a lot of men, you know? And so we have it. I get it. There's statistics where women outnumber men, and it feels like 8 women to 1 guy, who's going to get him? But it's just not reality. And I think
it's not reality.
Yeah,
it's not reality. But the thing is that we have to come off of our list, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. Open up your list.
Open up your list. Open up your list to the possibilities. You know what I mean? Open up your list. And I also tell women, the list that you create, can you live up to that list for yourself? And a lot of times the answer is no.
Yeah. And we don't want to be held to standards like that. We don't want a guy who's like, you better keep a perfect figure and you better speak 5 languages fluently and you better be a phenomenal cook and making $1 million a year. We don't want that. So why would we do it to him?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's jump to number 4 because I want to make sure we have time for any other brilliant things we come up with. But if you ever have anything you want to throw in.
Okay.
The next one is similar, and you know, it's one that I'm making sure I phrase in a way that people understand what I'm saying. And I say, pay your way out. And what I mean by that is, you know, especially in modern dating, I think there's a lot of questions around, should he pay all the time? Should I pay sometimes, like, et cetera? I don't particularly care. And I would love to hear your thoughts, Gail, but the thing I want all women to have is a way to get themselves out of any situation of danger. So for example, if a man is invited, you know, you've been seeing each other for a little while and he's invited you to come on a trip with him, and he's going to pay for the whole thing. He's going to pay for your plane tickets. He's going to pay for your hotel room. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what a generous soul. And there's nothing wrong with that if you choose to accept, fine. But what I want you to have, you know, and you can even put it on hold, is a plane ticket to get the heck out of there if you need it, is, you know, like your ability. I want your passport. I want credit cards. I want cash. You need to be able to fund your way out of any situation. I don't care if it's the coffee shop across the street from the church, or he's asked you to go to Mexico with him. Like, there's got to be a way for you to never be in that like damsel in distress energy where you're tolerating something dangerous or subpar because you just realized that you got yourself into this and he's turning out to be somebody who you don't want to be with, but you don't.
The representative have left the building and the real man is there because he feels he has you in a situation. And I always tell women, and I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And even now, I've been married 33 years. I still take Gil out and I will still pay the bill because I want him to know I'm still capable of taking care of me. I'm being honest with you. But the thing is that is so true. And I've had friends, single friends, that went to this fancy restaurant and, you know, they got to talking or whatever. And, you know, they ordered, the bill was like $300. And he was like, "You're going to go back and sleep with me?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, I'm not paying your bill." And she didn't know. This is really serious. This is a person that I know personally. And she was not in a position to pay. So I had to cash up her the money so she could pay her part of the bill. But see, the thing is that, you know, all those signs were there because his representative was there, and it was always, his conversation was trying to lead to sleep with you. So his thoughts was, I will get you in this fancy restaurant And if I say I'm not going to pay the bill, you're going to actually ask to sleep with me because you don't have the funding, right? But he didn't know that who she knew, right?
Gail was behind her.
but no, but I'm just saying, like you said, don't ever put yourself in a position, and it's great for them to pay for you to go to Mexico and all of those different kind of things, but have your own way, because if they get over there and they put their hands on you, or the representative leaves and the true person goes over there, and you're in a position where you're feeling trapped and you have to do all of these things just to get back, it's not fair. It's not good for your self-esteem. It's not good for your mental, none of those things. So I would say absolutely be able to pay your way. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. Because again, in this day and time, men use those kind of trips and those kind of dinners and those things to put you in a position where you feel like you owe them. And so many women fall in those traps, and then they feel used because they give up their bodies, right? And they're not really mentally there to do that. And so then they go back into feeling dirty and unworthy, and the dating, everybody's like this, and they carry all of that around, and it's not their fault. So absolutely be able to whatever. And I always tell people when I used to tell my ladies, when you're dating, don't go from coffee to a 6-star restaurant. Don't do it. And don't allow them to take you there. Yes, it's nice, it's good, it looks good on social media, but at the end of the day, do it gradually. Go up the chain, start at coffee, and then maybe go to Outback, then go. No, and I'm being honest with you. For the simple fact is, if he can grow with you that way, he will respect you more, because for one, in their minds, they already think that you're out just to get dinner anyway, and they're trying to empty their pocket. It's that whole thing. So if he can see you grow gradually together as conversations get better and you go to better things or whatever, then it won't be such a press. But if you go from coffee to a 6-star restaurant and the bill is $400, he's going to be expecting something in return 99% of the time. I'm just being honest with you.
Oh man, that's good stuff, Gail. That is great advice. And it's awful because we feel like we've evolved and women are liberated and blah blah blah, and we are in many ways, but in some ways the way it's done poorly still exists, and the trade just changed. It's just a modern version.
Absolutely. Now they're saying you gotta pay to play. You know what I mean? That's in their minds. And so therefore I always say start gradually. Start with coffee, then start at a a mid-level range, and then go up one more and go up one more and go up one more. And as that happens, you will be able to see his behavior. You will be able to see how he really is, because the more you do it, the more it's revealed. When you go from coffee all the way up to 6-star restaurant, he's going to be expecting something, because in his mind is, I'm just about to shell out $400. What do you have for me?
That's so good. And you can also see in that process whether he's patient, whether he want you or does he want a woman in bed, because he'll stick around and keep going through the process with you. If it's you, he'll be one and done if that's not what he's looking for. And I once went out with, it was interesting back in the day to go to those coffees and to see the guys' reactions. Like, I remember one specifically who was kind of frustrated, like, this is stupid. And I intentionally held him slower, moved the process slower, and he wasn't forcing sex or anything like that, fortunately, but he did later turn out to be quite a controlling person, so, even if they're not demanding sex, just watching their reaction to a slow pace can show you a lot about their character. So I love that you brought that up, Gail. That's really helpful.
Go at a slower pace. And the thing is if they're in it to win it, if they're in there for a long haul, if they're really looking for a committed relationship, they literally will go, like you said, at the pace that you set.
Yes, they will, because they want
you. At the pace that you set, not the pace that he set. The pace that you set. Right? And if it's like, well, why don't you want to go for here? I can take you to Miami next week. No. We're good. I'm good. Yes, Miami's nice, but then that puts me in a position where I rather for us
Okay.
to go somewhere local. No,
Yeah.
somewhere local, right? To start this off,
Yep.
right? And the thing is that if he's okay with that, as you progress, you will be able to see really the true person.
Yeah.
But see, we get caught up. Oh my God, he's gonna jet set me off to Miami next week. How long have
Yep.
you known him? 3 days. That's not normal.
Oh Lord.
That's not
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah. It is
That is really not
fascinating to
normal.
me how much women set the pace. I mean, it's like how I was so I so bought in, and I'm not saying it's always wrong, but it's definitely incomplete to this concept that the guy does everything and you are sweet and docile and receptive and you follow a strong leader because it shows, masculinity. And I mean, it's wonderful when men step up and take action, but I am becoming so aware of how much women identify the man, initiate half sometimes with the man, and then like set the pace of the relationship. And I sometimes think that that is some of the biggest things that decide whether a woman ends up with a kind man or somebody who's not. Wow, it has been like, boom, mind-blowing, eye-opening. So let's jump to the last piece, Gail, because I really want to riff on this with you. I feel like you're going to have so much to say on this one. So this is never choose alone. And at the end of the day, let's say we've done all this, we've tapped into our sexuality, our femininity, we understand that beauty isn't who we are, and yet we can find our sexy in a way that it matters for us and that gives us confidence and not as some kind of thing to be loved. Then we're thinking like a victim. We're working through the red flags that we're seeing. We're taking it slow with these guys. We're making sure that we can get out of any situation that we may be in, no matter how long the relationship's been going on, even if it's, serious in years. And then number 5, never choose alone. You guys are gracious with my handwriting. How on earth, at the end of the day, do we finally pick the man? And I know that for women who are starting up here and they're like, pick from who? You know what I mean? Like, I got nothing going on. But when you get it rolling, and especially if you have the confidence to go out and start things with very kind looking men, there will be a selection to choose from. And how do we pick? And I know some women like, well, I'm going to ask my girlfriends, I'm going to ask my parents, or we're going to go to premarital counseling, or I'm just going to trust my gut, trust my intuition. And I love all those things. I think they all matter. But the big one that you've been touching on that we haven't really gone heavy on, and again, I know not every woman here considers herself a Christian, but most women who are drawn to me are aware that there's some kind of higher guidance system that we have the beautiful ability to tap into. So how do we select a man with God's help? Because this to me is big. I don't think we have to choose from a concept of assignment. I love the idea of assignment, that like God has these things for us to do on earth. And I think a lot of times he facilitates an assignment for us through our spouse, not always. But how can we prayerfully both set an intention for the kind of man we want to bring in, and then be in prayer as we are, or prayer or meditation or reflection, whatever you guys want to call it, as we are dating. So we're not, because sometimes it's easy to get caught into, well, let's think through the red flags and let's think through the list. But there's something higher here about who are we called to be with? What, you know what I'm saying? So I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Because I think
my thoughts is that when you pray, right, and you ask, right, and you say, God, show me a clear-cut sign if this guy is for me, right? And I believe that when you quit trying to make something and step back, quit trying to make him fit, but God, he does this, and and he does this, and he does all, because our minds, our flesh is wanting to be in this relationship, and we're hungry to say that we have this guy in our life, and we're excited about it. But again, that's head decisions. That's head, because the flesh is saying, oh, this person meets all the needs that I want, and I want it now because, you know, we're hungry right now. I want it now. It has to happen right now. But I believe that time takes care of everything. And I believe that when God has the right person for you, it is effortless. And all you have to do is just be. You don't have to jump through all of these hoops. You don't have to change the way you dress or look or act or behave. You can be 100% authentic yourself. Now, do you want to be better? Absolutely, right? And do you have to, you know, think about the other person's, you know, feelings and all those kind of things? Absolutely. But the core of person of who you are, if you do all of that work before you get in a relationship, and you're confident and you know what you bring to the table and you know what you're going to tolerate and not tolerate, and you know that you're worth it and all of those things, and you found your sexy, and you understand that you only want 2 services from the spa and not 10, all of those things, no, seriously, all of those things, I believe that the man will show up. And if he's already in your life, he will just be. I mean, yes, does relationships take work? Yes, does it take compromise? Yes, does it take communication? All of those things. But we sometimes put ourselves in a situation where we have to work so hard, and we're working hard because it was not the will of God for us in the first place.
Oof. Gosh, that is so good. I feel like what you're saying, and I could not agree more, is you're becoming your best self. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Our work is to go through where is the bondage? Where is the brokenness? Where are the trauma? Where is the inaccurate beliefs? Where are we hiding? Where are we hurting? Where are we not taking care of ourselves? And then where are we running from aspects of femininity that have seemed dirty or have seemed scary or have seemed not for us? We're removing the labels because the labels are all inside. Right. And we're stepping into, I love to say, you know, I need to get a basketball here because I used to play basketball. And it's like, it's one object, but how many sides does that thing have? You know what I mean? Yes. We're these beautiful, multifaceted women. And when we do that, and then we are not hiding away from the world, we're also making it known that we exist, whether it's asking for coffee or just being present at events with this beautiful, glowing, confident, joyful energy. I agree. The men show up, and if we're in prayer through this kind of living and existing with the conscious awareness of, Lord, I just want your man. You know what I mean?
And I don't care if he's not 6 foot over. I don't care what his title is, because again, when we marry titles, when we marry expectations, when we marry all of those things, that's where they have to come see me, right? Yeah. But when you're just there and you allow him to be him, right? And the prayer is all the time is, God, allow me to meet an authentic 100% man that you created for me. That's the prayer, right? Not one that I think he should be, not one or whatever, but one that when we come together, we actually fit like this. You know, sometimes there's going to be some this, but like this. and the thing is that a lot of women don't get into healthy relationships because they're looking for someone that does not exist.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that I'm going to start helping women understand, especially with avoiding certain types of men who don't treat them well, is that some guys are looking for a role and not a soul. They want whatever it is. They want, you know, I'm going to watch my words here. They want a woman who's going to just be an appendage of some kind at all their events that they have to go to. They want a woman
arm candy. That's what they call it.
She's just going to make babies because that's what their mama keeps pressuring them to do. Or she's just going to cook, or they want a role. You're looking for a man who is already interested in loving a soul that is evolve through a lifetime, that's going to have multiple callings on her, that's going to have bad times, that's going to have good times, but he's not in it for how well you're performing your role. He's in it for how he can love you as a soul. And so what I hear you saying, Gail, is the exact same thing for women. We're not supposed to go around looking for a role. I mean, it's tempting because we feel this void in our life of like, where is my husband? I want a husband. But what we're looking for is the right to steward a masculine soul. And God knows who that man is. And if there's different options and God's like, well, you know, any of these 5 guys will do, like he will steer you toward the one or ones, however, that are a great choice for you, that are going to take care of you, that want to honor and steward your soul. So I love that, Gail.
And also I want to say this, and we touched on it just a little bit, but I also want women to really realize that even though we're in the workplace and we have to compete and we have to rise to occasion, and most of the time, 99% of the time, we work for men, or you know, if you're self-employed like myself, but I used to work for men, you know, we have to have that masculine energy. But I want women to really find their feminine energy and walk in that when they're around their male counterparts and they're looking for a mate. We have to take off of that masculine energy, and it's hard. Because in order to compete in society, we have to be hard. We have to show up. We have to be better and all that kind of things, because it is a man's world, right? But without us, right? Without us showing them and so being the softer vessel. And I want women, and I when I was working with singles all the time, I found that a lot of the things that they were struggling it was because they had such masculine energy and they did not know how to turn it off. I was that girl. I really was. And I needed to realize to take off my boxer shorts and put on my lace panties when I walked through the threshold of my household, because Gil did not marry another man. He married a woman. And I had to learn how to switch that energy.
Yep. Oh, you're preaching. That's right back up here. And I agree with you. It's not even like, you know, women may come and say, well, I don't feel the need to compete in the world. You know, I'm a counselor, I'm a whatever. I don't, you know, but just surviving, you know what I mean? Like running your little apartment, making sure your bills are paid on time, making sure you got car insurance, like that life maintenance is masculine energy.
It is.
You got to do it. Like, you know, somebody's got to bring the groceries home, but you've also, you're right, got to be able to say, but that's not all I am.
That's not all I am.
And that's not even how I want to be seen. Because a lot of women, I think, will come at a man like, I want you to respect my resume, and then I can do what you can do, and then I deserve to be paid as much, and then I can, you know, book. The guy's like, sure, you know, I got a job where I need an assistant, you know, like, but as a woman,
man,
and it's not even like, oh, we got to do it for him because he wants this like sex goddess. This is who we are. We got to do it for us. This is our design. I'm in myself, like by myself in my house alone in my feminine energy. I'm as happy as heck. You know what I mean? So there's a health in it for us. And I love that you're saying that, because it feels maybe a little weird, feels a little scary, definitely feels confusing. But I think women recognizing that it's a both and. Of course you can take care of yourself. Of course you're like a boss, you know, of course. And you can lay in bed all day with nothing around you and just feel the presence of God and just rest and restore and be a woman. You know, it's beautiful.
And I think more women need to find that, right? Find that. Yeah.
How do you think we can find that? I feel like that's a little different from finding our sexy. What do you think?
I think that you have to be very self-aware of what you are attracting. And when I say attracting, I get some women to say, only guys that want to are attracted to me are alcoholics or whatever. And I'll just use that as an example. And I said, okay, so why do you think you're attracting alcoholics? And then they say, well, I don't know. I said, well, where do you go hang out to find them? You know what they say? Oh, at a bar.
Shocker. Yes.
So, I mean, a bar was created, right? Granted, it has a great atmosphere, but it's their number one thing that they sell is alcohol, right? They might sell a couple of sodas, but everybody in there is not there for the soda, right? For happy hour, right? So if you want something different, you got to do something different. So you're not going to find a guy, most likely, in a bar that is not drinking. Now, I mean, you see what I'm
It's
saying? And I
true.
was like, you got it. She's like, well, I go, because they said that's where a lot of guys hang out. That is true.
The
But
alcoholic
a lot
ones.
of guys that hang out at the bars are going to be drinking. So if
Yes.
you don't want an alcoholic, don't go to the bars. A lot of guys hang out at the gym. They're not drunk at the gym 99% of the time. So
Yep.
go hang out at the gym. You can get healthy. He might help you, help you on your health journey, and then y'all can be healthy together.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's literally thinking different to get a different result. So
Yes.
if you don't want an alcoholic, don't go to the bar and think that you're going to get somebody who doesn't drink.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of women are like, okay, I go to church, Gail. There's no golly. I go to the singles ministry and everybody's just dating everybody and all this kind of stuff. My thing is, what have you done different? You don't have to go to your singles ministry. You can go to somebody else's single ministry.
Say it louder for the people. And I know people but I'm committed to my church. I don't want to, you've heard this term, maybe date the church. And it's what pastors use. Don't date the church because they want you there. They want your regular tithing. But if you're single and you're in any kind of city of any kind of size, please go to all the churches with young adult groups and meet all the people. You just get your girlfriends out of it, if nothing else. But I mean, like, that's one of the first things I've done is like, okay.
I'm like, if all the guys seem like they're taking in your singles ministry, there's many. And she's like, I didn't think about that. Yeah, just because your church singles ministry is all, intertwined, doesn't mean that everybody else is intertwined. They might be looking for somebody new to come in there, and you're it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's all about just expanding and thinking outside of the box. And obviously, if you're doing something that has not worked, do something different.
Do something different.
Do something
different. I love it. And what perfect timing to wrap this. So I know so many of you who will watch this are going to be asking yourself, I love what they're saying. I'm with it. I get it. I'm following. I'm in. What's next? Mm-hmm. So I have been just pushed and called and overjoyed to be finally starting to formally work with single women who feel themselves in this stuckness. And whether it's that they don't feel they're attractive, they don't know how to plug into either their sexy or their femininity, and they're not getting any kind of action with men at all. They're just not feeling, they're not putting themselves out there, or if they are, no one seems to be paying any kind of attention. They're working the online dating sites or social media and nothing's happening there either. Or women where there are men who are interested, there are men who are approaching, or there are men who they're approaching, but they don't feel their confidence in those encounters, or they aren't sure how to sort through the guys who are coming with them. Right. So at the end of the day, we get home and we feel lonely, we feel confused. We've got maybe that high from guys who have been paying attention, but we've got the red flags that are in the back of our mind. So if you feel yourself in that space, I want to take you to where you are so grounded in who you are, and not just in the sense of, I'm a good person, I'm a believer, maybe I'm good at my job. As a woman, as a full, completely embodying the entirety of the beautiful design of the feminine, her badass side, her boss side, and her open, receptive, beautiful, soft, sexual side, all of it. Until you are radiating as your most authentic self and the allure is palpable, both online and offline. And you have men coming out of the woodwork. I'm talking about people who you went to school with, who you haven't heard from in 20 years, who are suddenly checking in. Friends of your girlfriends who are like, can you introduce me to that chick? Because she's got something going on. Men who follow some of the accounts that you love online, some of your most inspiring people who you love to follow, and they kind of notice you and start chatting with you. And that's just online. When you walk into church, when you walk into the gym, when you walk into wherever you're working, suddenly it's like you flipped a light on and everybody's watching, and in a good way. And you feel it, you feel your confidence, you feel your allure, but then you get these guys coming towards you and now you've got to sort. But I want you to have that confidence, that savvy, where these red flags we've been alluding to, exactly what to look for and to tolerate with men who are showing signs of being controlling, of being narcissistic, of being abusive, of being dangerous, and putting yourselves in a position where you want to hang out with the guy. You want to maybe travel with him. You want to get to know him, but you need to have your boundaries and your logistical situation set up so that you're always safe. Okay. And then finally, how do you actually select that guy? So I have created what we call Sexy, Savvy, and Sought After. It is my baby, one of my absolute signature programs. And I am so excited to be able to discuss this with you guys. If you want to talk about it, you're going to book a call with me. And the amazing thing about this call is right now for women who are getting on the phone with me, and I just spoke with one the other day, she can testify, I am offering this at literally thousands of dollars off of what it normally is, because this is the kind of program that gets results. This is not me kind of casually checking in on you every couple months, just seeing how it's going. This is not me, wishing you the best and giving you a couple PDFs and I hope you make it. This is very much, I'm going to hold your hand and walk you through this transformation until you get the results that you want. Okay. So I am so excited about this. I know, Gail, you know what a big deal it is for women to have guidance, wisdom, encouragement, just when you feel like you can't do it anymore, and support to make their decisions in this area wisely. So if this is something you guys want to do, it's a completely free call. We're just going to check out and see if we like each other. If you dig what I'm doing, if I dig your situation and I think I can help, you're going to go to JackieLacroix.com/dating and pick a time that works for you. You can answer the questions. I have a couple fun little questions so I can get to know you before we get on our call. And it's going to be some of the best 45 minutes you've spent, because so many women, on these calls, they often haven't even told their story to anyone. And whether they've been through trauma, they've been through terrible relationships, or they've just felt completely ignored, being able to voice where they're at as a woman romantically is one of the most healing experiences they have. So I'm happy to be that ear for you. And then we're going to set the vision of what you're looking for, kind of the dream life that right now you're thinking, maybe I can't have it, maybe I need to settle. But like Gail and I have been saying, it might not be coming from the directions you've been looking at it, right? It might not be coming from the guys who you think it's going to require, and therefore it's felt impossible, but it is so possible. I'm even going to call it easy. Okay. So if that interests you guys, make sure you go to JackieLacroix.com/apply. Gail, I have loved this. I mean, this, I knew it would be fun, but it was even more fun than I thought it would be. We are just on the same page with so many things, and you are so wise. I am so grateful for your time here today.
I am so thankful for allowing me. And for any woman who watches this, please just at least invest in the 45 minutes that she's going to give you, because she's not going to give you any fluff. She's going to give you tangible things that you can do to move forward in your dating relationship. So I am excited for you, and thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this, Jackie.
My pleasure, Gail. To many more happily engaged, married, flourishing women and couples. That is our goal here. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.